There's a suspect in the Puerto Rican hotel fire, but a widower wonders, are they out for blood?
A U.S. Marine Guard might have put us all in danger.
In sports, 2 players are thrown out of the NBA for drug use.
And one more nice day, then comes the big chill.
And grab your glass of ice water. We're taking you on a hot taster. It's all up next on NewsCenter 6.
Ernie Tetrault, Tracy Egan, Jim Brennan, and John Cessarich. Now, live, this is NewsCenter 6, #1 in the Capital District.
Good evening. Did he really murder 96 people, or is he just a sacrificial lamb?
That was the question posed by the husband of an area victim of the DuPont Hotel fire in Puerto Rico. 56-year-old Beryl Spector of Latham was killed in that fire on New Year's Eve. Mary Beth Wenger spoke with her husband tonight after he learned that a man had been charged with the murders of all those who died in that fire. Mary Beth?
Tracy, the man's charged with 96 counts of murder for all 96 people who died in that fire. Other arrests are expected. He's also charged with arson. Bail was set at $2 million for the man who was a hotel employee at the time of the hotel inferno. While some fire victims and their families welcomed the arrest of Hector Escudero Aponte, Sherman Spector of Latham hopes the man is not being used as a scapegoat.
I was concerned whether this individual, who is now obviously a suspect, might be a sacrificial lamb to satisfy the bloody demands of many emotionally and legally involved.
Aponte is a member of the Teamsters Union, which was involved in a bitter labor conflict at the hotel when the fire occurred. Puerto Rican authorities say the man admitted in a signed statement that he lit a can of sterno fuel on top of a stacked pile of furniture boxes in the ballroom. The arrest has satisfied some people, but in the days after the initial shock of his wife Beryl's death, Spector says there has been no one agency that has looked out for survivors' legal or emotional interests.
There's been no effort on the part of anyone representing the next of kin to organize a class action suit, as it's known. And I wouldn't even know where to begin. I'm in that limbo area between grief and before anger begins to set in. And I believe that this entire episode will probably occupy most of my remaining days on Earth.
Spector says no lawyers contacted him, but he has been in touch with a Cincinnati legal firm which is representing a number of victims' families. Nothing formal has been filed yet.
Thank you, Mary Beth. In other international news, it sounds like a cheap spy novel, but it could cost U.S. security interests plenty. We told you this weekend that a U.S. Marine Guard at the American Embassy in Moscow had been accused of spying for the Soviets. Now we know what he allegedly did. CBS reports that Sergeant Clayton Lonetree allowed KGB agents into the embassy to steal top-secret documents and to place bugs in the offices of high-level diplomats. One source says it's a very bad breach of security. It all started because Lonetree fell in love with a KGB agent there. Lonetree also allegedly let some secrets get out of the embassy in Vienna when he worked there. It was all apparently going on for 3 years. Lonetree faces charges before a military court.
Well, a local man who's been called a soldier of fortune is still waiting for a court in Argentina tonight. You recall that we've been following the travails of Robert Foti of Glenville. He's up on gun-running charges. His mother, Marion Foti, had expected to hear about the judge's ruling by late this afternoon, but she says tonight that the word will not come until tomorrow. Foti faces a fine if he's found guilty, and guilty or not, Foti should be able to come home once he's done in court. Ernie?
Well, there's a major new development in another court case that has inflamed racial tensions in New York City. Governor Cuomo today appointed a special prosecutor in the alleged racial attack in Howard Beach that killed a black man. Also in New York City today, the heads of the 3 most powerful mafia families each got jail terms of 100 years.
Just ahead on NewsCenter 6, will a Supreme Court ruling help some women keep their jobs and prevent others from getting a job?
And they can't cry in their beer if they lost at the track in one area facility.
And later on NewsCenter 6, meteorologist John Cessarich has tomorrow's forecast.
The Supreme Court ruled today that maternity leave does not discriminate against men or any other workers. The court upheld state laws that give pregnant women a right to a leave of absence and a job when they go back to work. The Supreme Court decision clears the way for any state to adopt pregnancy leave laws. New York and Vermont have not legislated leave for pregnant workers. Massachusetts has. In New York, Assemblyman Richard Gottfried is already pushing for a law that would let fathers as well as mothers take time off for the birth of a child.
The labor movement is behind it naturally. You've got the whole feminist movement and the Catholic Church and a whole variety of other groups all on board.
This Albany company will be watching the parental leave issue closely. The accounting firm of Urbach, Kahn, and Werlen has 10 expectant mothers in its workforce of 50 right now. While studies show it can cost thousands to replace an employee on leave, this company says it will still hire a woman if she's the best candidate for the job.
I'd much rather have someone who is, when you say childbearing age, who can handle the job properly. So that, to me, that's not a factor in my hiring decisions.
Our political analyst, Dr. Alan Chartock, says many companies might take a different approach to hiring if a parental leave law were in place.
That if an employer sees a situation in which he has to grant leave or paid leave, that he may, in fact, or she may, in fact, turn around and not do that kind of hiring of childbearing age women.
Nearly half of American workers are women, of course, and 90% of those women can be expected to become pregnant during their working years.
Well, the High Court came up with a second significant ruling today. Look for lower liquor prices in the near future, along with for sale signs on some small neighborhood liquor stores. The U.S. Supreme Court today threw out New York State's pricing law. That law made sure no store sold liquor cheaper than any other store. Now they can do what they want. Big stores say it will push down prices. Smaller stores fear they'll be blown right out of the water by the competition. Speaking of alcoholic beverages, the new OTB Imperial Racing Center in Schenectady isn't serving them, at least for a while. OTB gave up its temporary beer and wine permit today after it figured that a new law did not cover the sales. But officials expect they'll get a permanent liquor license in a month or so.
And briefly tonight, a judge has refused to order a new trial for a Canadian trucker who was convicted last month in the Northway deaths of a state trooper and another man. A juror in that case claimed she was coerced into voting guilty. Former Miss America Bess Meyerson may lose her job as Cultural Affairs Commissioner in New York City if she continues to keep silent to a grand jury looking into contracts held by her boyfriend with the city. Ernie?
Up next here on NewsCenter 6, Tracy, sun yourself tomorrow because we'll pay for it later on. John Cessarich will explain.
Okay, and it's sun, it's fun, and it's hot. We're going on another gourmet getaway.
You're watching NewsCenter 6. Coming up next, weather with meteorologist John Cessarich.
At 6, we heard about Big Ben in London going thud instead of bong. John Cessarich, is he going to be back to normal by tomorrow?
I don't think so. I think it's going to be another couple of days. They had temperatures down to around 0 degrees today. Highs were only in the teens.
You know, they said tires on cars in Moscow were just shattering.
Just shattering because they were so cold. Yeah, in fact, Leningrad hit 49 degrees below zero yesterday, which was the coldest temperature ever recorded since they kept records of back in the late 1800s. So it's unbelievable. We're going to feel a little bit of that, but I first want to show you how cold it was over there. Anywhere from 20 to 40 below zero, except for yesterday where it was 49 degrees below zero. There's also some strange things going on over in the Soviet Union. Let's take a look. Everybody bundled up in the ice box. The death toll is over 100 in one of the coldest winters ever to hit Europe. And look at this. This is hard to believe. I don't think those people are playing with a full deck over there, but it is very, very cold, and it looks like it's going to stay cold over there for probably the next 2 or 3 days, and then we're going to feel a little bit of Arctic air toward the end of the week. I'll tell you more about that in just a moment. Right now, we've cleared out a little bit. Our temperature is 30 degrees and on the way down. Relative humidity is at 74%. Steady barometric pressure at 30 inches even, and a northwesterly wind, a little bit brisk at 13 miles per hour. It's slowly starting to die down, as it was a very windy day today at the airport. Wind gusts up to 25 miles per hour at times. High temperature of 35 degrees. Well, not really overnight low. Our current temperature is the lowest temperature so far today, which is 30 degrees. Trace at the airport, as far as precipitation, in the form of just a few flurries roaming around the area or floating about the area. Not real cold yet. Temperature still way above, about 5 degrees above normal for this time of the year. 17 degrees though. It's chilly in Rutland, 19 degrees up in Canada, in Ottawa. Everybody else, not too bad. 20s, 30s, and even some lower 40s, 41 degrees in the nation's capital right now. The clouds finally started to break off. The big storm that brought us all that snow over the weekend is slowly moving out to sea. It's a big storm in the upper atmosphere, and it's been influencing our weather for the last 2 or 3 days. It's finally moving away. Some high, thin clouds out of the Great Lakes. No rain-producing or snow-producing clouds. They'll spread across tomorrow, so we'll have sunshine through some high cirrus clouds, but that's about it. A lot of moisture streaming northward out of the western Gulf of Mexico, and showers and even some thunder showers continue down there in parts of eastern Texas, Louisiana, and as far north as Little Rock, Arkansas, and just pretty close to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Everybody else is basically dry except for the Pacific Northwest. Another storm approaching them. Rain in the lower elevations and in the Cascade Mountains. Some pretty good snow, not real heavy snow, but they could get maybe 3 or 4 inches by tomorrow. As far as the map for tomorrow, there we go. High pressure over the entire eastern half of the country for today brought beautiful weather, but once again they warmed up out in the Plain States. Record heat out here, 60 degrees in Kansas City, 48 degrees in Minneapolis, St. Paul. They're going to be about 20 or 30 degrees colder by tomorrow as these two fronts, both of them are Arctic fronts, or the second one is, and we're going to feel that Arctic front later on. Clear, lighter winds tonight, diminishing winds. Overnight low will be 21 degrees. For tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, and enjoy tomorrow. Get out. If you don't have to go to work, don't go to work. 41 degrees for the high temperature. It'll be milder tomorrow, of course. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy skies. Overnight low will be 27 degrees. The extended outlook, sprinkles, probably flurries, or maybe even a snow shower on Thursday. As the front goes by at about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, temperatures will fall through the afternoon down into the upper 20s, and then 29 for a high only on Friday with flurries, partly cloudy skies, and when you wake up Saturday morning, it will be 8 degrees above zero. Mostly sunny skies tomorrow. For your wake-up call, 22 to 27 degrees. And that 8 degrees is pretty conservative right now.
Well, you know, if this weather sends chills up your spine, this next story should really thaw you out.
Okay. In tonight's gourmet getaway, we're taking you on a hot and spicy trip through the tempting taste of the Southwest. Here's travel reporter Paul Ryan.
The Wild, Wild West, America's desert Southwest. 3 states, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona. Travel here and you will find vestiges of this country's frontier past and some of America's best eating. This man hails from Albuquerque.
The food that we serve here in New Mexico more reflects our culture than anything else.
That culture is a blend of the Mexican, Spanish, and the Native American. In many restaurants, the chili predominates, and the tortilla, made from corn and into chips, enchiladas, and burritos. A close relative is something called the sopapilla.
Sopapillas are New Mexico soul food. They are a Indian bread type dough, but we cut them into little squares. We deep fry them. They puff up. They're something that was developed between the Spanish and the Indians centuries ago. And they're rather delightful and very enjoyable.
East of New Mexico, rising out of the Texas plains, is Dallas, home to little places like Herrera's. It's not much to look at, but it has some of the best Mexican cooking around. And you can't go to Dallas without...